Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Scottish Football Zone. I'm your host for tonight, Robbie Collins. I hope you're doing well. Joining me as a top panel tonight. Tonight we have on Reagan. How you doing?
Thank you for having me on, Robbie. I'm doing well, aye.
I enjoyed the football of the weekend.
Aye, it's been really good, Robbie. I mean, that Celtic game yesterday was really good. I thought Motherwell played really well, and then the Edinburgh Derby was brilliant. And then obviously the Rangers game yesterday, I think there's a lot of talking points, and obviously I want to talk to you about St Mirren as well, because I fully expected St Mirren to win that game, but for them to lose 2-0, then yeah, it's not looking great. But I tell you what, Stuart Kettlewell started well at Rugby Park as well, because I felt like there was a lot of criticism on social media and that, and then for Kettlewell to go in there and do so well, I think it's great.
Aye. Kettlewell's had a phenomenal start. Also, we're getting to that game later. Also joining us is Ethan Barlow. Ethan, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much for the introduction, Robbie. Another entertaining weekend of Scottish football, and obviously the big talking point, Russell Martin. Eventually, some will say loses his job at Rangers, and I think after yesterday's post-match scenes, I think there was no option but for his superiors to pull the trigger, and now they're on the search for a new manager just over 100 days since appointing Russell Martin, and it'll be very interesting to see where Rangers go next, because I think we say this, and maybe it's a bit cliche to say when it comes to Rangers managerial appointments, but it's crucial that they get this next one right.
100%. Well, let's start off with a statement for Rangers. It was 9:40 last night. We got the statement dropped on Rangers Twitter, official club statement about Russell Martin. Rangers Football Club confirms that its party company with head coach Russell Martin, while all transitional periods require some time, results have not met the club's expectations. And I think, Reagan, that probably sums up Russell Martin's time as Rangers manager. You can come in, get after a bit of a shaky start and then get things back on track. But it's got to be said, Russell Martin's never had any sort of consistency so far. Or well, ever saw in the industry.
No, I think the big thing for me was the very first match they played. I think it was Bruges in a friendly, and the fans were booing it when they went 2-0 down at the first 45 minutes. I just felt like Rangers and Russell Martin were winning a very good mix. And I think as well, obviously the championship down in England has been his sort of forte as a manager, but as well, you need to say that I don't think many of the players have really adapted well. And I think as well, I would probably say it's a little bit of I think in terms of Russell Martin, I think he's maybe not thought the Scottish football was particularly up to much in terms of the players that he's brought in. I mean, I think Miovski's been a great signing so far. But I think if you look at the overall football picture, I don't think there's a lot of chances that Rangers are creating.
Ethan, do you think that's maybe down to the manager slot, Russell Martin? I know he likes to try and play a so-called attractive style of football, but let's be honest, it's not done like that at Rangers. And Reagan's right, like, there's not been many chances created. Do you think that is down to the manager? Do you think that's down to the players? What's your thoughts?
I think it's probably down to a bit of both. Russell Martin's obviously come in under massive pressure, and as Reagan said, even before he sort of made his first competitive appearance as Rangers manager, a lot of fans weren't really keen on the idea of him taking the club forward. And obviously couple that with the way the season starts with the results, especially in the league, because in the Champions League qualifiers, apart from obviously the demolition at the hands of Club Bruges, they were positive. The performances weren't always there, but in the league, I mean, 7 matches, 8 points? That's just not good. It's never good enough for Rangers in any stint of time, and it would probably see any Rangers manager get sacked, not to mention, obviously, Russell Martin's just at the start of his. So there wasn't enough progress being seen, and I don't think the players had obviously bought into really what he was trying to do. And you can see that on the pitch, because ultimately you can question the recruitment, you can question the players they brought in, whether they're good enough, but ultimately Rangers still have on paper the second best squad in the league and should be able to beat more teams than they have in the league at the end of the day. I know they beat Livingston, but even then it wasn't convincing, and none of the performances in the league, you could say, could even merit a victory. So that's how poor it's been. and that's why Russell Martin obviously has shown the exit. And I think it's to the delight of a lot of Rangers fans when you seen yesterday that a lot of them didn't really even celebrate their goal against Falkirk, and they probably didn't deserve it based off the balance of play. I think a lot of people thought that Falkirk maybe even deserved to take all 3 points, and that's been the story in a lot of the games this season for Rangers, that maybe the quality they do have compared to the other sides is carrying them through to even get draws and victories, which is just not good enough. And yeah, I think it was about time that Russell Martin was shown the door.
Hi, we're joined by one very happy Rangers fan. It is Alex. Alex, how you doing?
I'm great, mate. Best day of my life so far. No, seriously though. When I saw the news last night, I was very happy. Obviously, I just want to be clear, and I'm not celebrating that fact that 3 guys have got fired. You know what I mean? But it's just, for the term in terms of Rangers Football Club and moving forward, he was clearly not the guy. Based off the trail end of what I heard from Ethan there, he's probably made all the points that I would make about how dire it was. And now we can look forward to the future and hopefully bring in the right replacement. And I'm pleased with the news that that we will not have Russell Martin in the dugout anymore. And you could see, I think, in his press conferences as well, that he was imploding in himself. He was contradicting himself constantly, coming out with ridiculous statements. Last week against Livingston, he praised the mentality, and then against Sturm Graz, he questioned the mentality. And then in an interview I saw with Gordon Duncan, he was blaming the tensions in the UK, for Rangers form or something like that. So yeah, it turned into a bit of a circus. I'm glad the circus is over.
Regan, you obviously see after the Falkirk game yesterday some scenes, obviously Russell Martin having to get police escorted at the stadium. I'm guessing you also think it was just too much for Russell Martin in the end. He had to be let go at that specific moment. Couldn't have really went on any longer.
No, I don't think so. I think it's the great thing for Rangers to let him go as well, because, especially for his mental health, because that wasn't great yesterday. Seeing him get escorted out there with a lot of the fans booing him and making sure he goes in a separate car and stuff like that. So I think for the benefit of Rangers and for the benefit of Russell Martin, I don't think it was going to do anyone any favours for him to stay on, because as much as he probably is a decent football manager, I think all you need to do is you need to look at the previous clubs that he's managed. One, Southampton. Personally, I don't feel like that should then guarantee the Rangers job. And I think the thing they were mentioning on the TV yesterday was that Russell Martin got interviewed for the job. I think it was 7 times he got interviewed. Surely they must have known by maybe two or three interviews whether he was the person to get. I don't see how you can manage to go through 7 interviews for a job. Surely there must have been a point where they go, right, this guy's good or he's not good.
Yeah, you would think so, and I think unfortunately for Russell Martin, he took positives but also negatives from his recent spell at Southampton. Obviously, he did get them back up to the Premier League, although I've seen a lot of people saying that he should have got them up earlier with the budget he had. And then obviously a terrible season in the Premier League when he was the manager. The promise he did show in the Championship, it obviously got him the move to Rangers. Did he warrant the job? Maybe looking at it in hindsight now, possibly not. And I think, unfortunately for him, he goes down as the worst Rangers manager in history. And I fail to really see who else can be there.
I totally agree with that. He is, before you move on, Ethan, before anyone brings up the likes of Kishinya or anything like that, I don't remember it being this toxic. I don't remember it being this bad ever. And I know I'm only young, and I've not seen a lot of Rangers managers. Well, I have seen a lot actually, unfortunately, but not to the extent that others would have seen. Apart from administration, I'd say this is the worst period in the club's history as well. Breaking a record held for 128 years of Rangers have now conceded in 23 consecutive away games. So yeah, and just on Russell Martin as well. You're talking about the interview process. He might, on paper, be one of the best tactical brains ever, or whatever. He might talk the talk and do all that. But personally, I think he's not a leader. He's shown that in his spell. He's struggled with the pressure, I think. And, maybe in the future he might find a coaching role somewhere and he'll be good. I'm not sure if I think he will try his hand at management again, not for a while. I hope for his sort of own sake. Because if he jumps back into it again and it doesn't go well again, it could get worse for him. But I just don't think he was suited as a person to a role like Rangers.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna finish my point I was making a minute ago. I'll be quick. I was just gonna say, Alex kind of made the same point, but over the last almost decade since Rangers have been back in the top flight, since obviously the administration, it's been bad at points, but it's never got this bad. It's never got this ugly or toxic. And I think the scenes yesterday, of course, it's only a minor section of the Rangers fan base, and it shouldn't sort of be represent the whole of the Rangers support, I don't think. But you can't be carrying that toxic atmosphere into the next games, because it's already hard enough, I'd imagine, for Russell Martin and the players, and having that extra pressure of the fans going to those extents. And they obviously shown with Ferbo and sort of peaceful protests that they didn't think Russell Martin was the man to take the club forward numerous times. That didn't get the message across. I think yesterday certainly did get the message across, and whether that played on the mind of the and Patrick Stewart and Kevin Farewell, we'll never know, because they might have already been making the decision. But I think that was sort of the final nail in the coffin, that Russell Martin did need to leave Rangers Football Club despite being less than 20 games into the season.
Yeah, I think as well. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, I think as well that you mentioned Kevin Farewell and Patrick Stewart. A few days ago, there was public confrontations with supporters, where I saw a lot of people crediting Kevin Farewell because he wanted to listen, and a lot of people discrediting Patrick Stewart because he just got very aggro. Someone did call him a baldy, specky so-and-so, so I'd understand why. But, he was just, I think he was actually videoed like shouting and going, "Who would you replace him with?" Basically, so he just got a bit aggro, but apparently Kevin Farewell was listening and talking to supporters, and maybe that fed into the ultimate decision as well.
I think when you look at Russell Martin's record, and it's easy to look at stats and reality, but you're looking at MK Dons, a 37% win percentage, Swansea 36, Southampton a bit increased, 45. To me, guys, this is just a manager that's never had a high win percentage, and you could argue the jobs are difficult. Southampton guiding them into the Premier League, as you said earlier, Ethan, it's not an easy task. But to me, if you're looking at hiring a Rangers manager, you want somebody that sort of has that winning mentality. They know how to win the games. They've got a track record in that. I think that's what Rangers really need to look at for the next appointment.
Yeah. And sorry, I've just did a wee bit of quick maths there. At Rangers, he has a 29.4 win percentage, so even worse.
Yeah, that says it all, really. And I think he was a mediocre manager, you could say, not of the level that Rangers needed, and they need to make sure they get this one right. But obviously, I don't think there's any. I think there's obviously going to be names sort of brandished about, but I think it's one that will be difficult to convince managers. Obviously, I think I'm saying Rangers is a obviously a massive club, not only in Scotland, not only in the UK, but across the globe. But looking at that group of players, and I would have to say I think they've got off the hook massively, a lot of them, over this period, because ultimately the pressure's all on Russell Martin. But those players haven't been putting in performances near good enough to be Rangers players. And yes, you could accredit that to the fact that they're not playing for the manager, they're down in tools, etc. But you want players that are going to turn up when it's tough and when you have to go through those difficult periods. And managers are also looking for the safety in their jobs. So yeah, it'll be one that I think a lot of managers would take with caution. For example, I think if Derek McInnes was offered the Rangers job right now, I don't think there's any chance he would move to Glasgow. Would anyone disagree with that?
Why would he? I'm hesitant to say it just yet, but he's on the brink of a full-on title challenge. So I don't see why he would come to Rangers. If I was Derek McInnes, I certainly wouldn't go to Rangers right now, just based off of the situation that Hearts are in and the situation that Rangers are in. But yeah, see your point about the players there. I think for some of them that's definitely the case, that they didn't put enough effort in. But I think for some of them also, I've got a prime example, and I know it was a bit of a running joke throughout, but I feel like Russell Martin coached a lot of the players into being rubbish, if you know what I mean. Because if you look at Oliver Antman's first game for Rangers, he was hitting the byline, he was getting in behind. He won a penalty, he got an assist, he nearly scored. And then after, when he's been in Russell Martin's hands for a few days, he starts... I don't know if you guys have noticed, since that first game, I haven't seen him get to the byline once. He cuts in and just runs into four guys. And you can clearly see he doesn't have a left foot either. So it seems like it's been something he's been told to do, which is, frustrating. Obviously, Gassama can do that because Gassama's right-footed, and that appears to be his game down to a T. But I feel like Oliver Antman is one of the victims of Russell Martin's coaching. And hopefully we can see more from him. In terms, I don't know if we want to move on to big managerial shouts just yet, but a few of the names that I've seen, that maybe this says the point that I'm at in terms of what I would accept at this point because how bad it's been. But I quite like Sean Dyche for the Rangers job.
All right. Before we get into that, I want to talk about the statement, Alex, that was released about, I think it was 5:45 for Chairman Andrew Kavanagh and Vice Chairman Parag Marath. There's a really good quote in here. He said, a rigorous, thoughtful recruitment process is already underway and we are treating it with the urgency it deserves. The two of us are deeply involved and the evaluation will have our full attention until we are confident we have a leader with the character and skill set to deliver results. First name I want to talk about on the managerial candidate list is former Rangers manager Steven Gerrard. There's been a lot of talk, as you'd probably expect, about Steven potentially making a return to Rangers. The only question I have to you right now, Alex, is if Rangers approach Gerrard, does he need to have a good assistant, aka Michael Beale, with him?
I was actually talking about this earlier on Pitch and Patter with Ryan. I think Michael Beale's burned all his bridges, and I don't think if the board made that decision to bring Gerrard back and sort of sanction Beale to come with him, I think that that would just increase the toxicity from the supporters. Not necessarily the Gerrard appointment, but Michael Beale being involved in any way. In terms of him maybe needing an assistant, perhaps. We were told time and time again that Michael Beale was the brains behind the operation. And he might have been. A lot of people, have said that that's been disproven because he's failed in management. But he might be suited to being a coach, and you might need a guy like Steven Gerrard who commands respect, who's a leader, who's been a leader his whole career. You might need that, him to sort of spearhead it, and you might need Michael Beale to go in more tactically. But Yeah. But what the points I just made about Gerrard is why I think he would be good to come back. Interviews that like you'd like say Joe Rebo, Glenn Kamara, even Jermaine Defoe who played with him at England and stuff. They're like not so much Defoe, but especially Kamara and Aribo and stuff. Even when he was their manager, after a while, they had to check themselves and they're like, "That's Steven Gerrard." You know what I mean? And that respect, that leadership. They listen. They'll run into the ground for you. And as much as it gets thrown around, one title out, one trophy out of 9, not a great record. But I think a lot of people forget as well that Rangers went from a position of not being able to compete at all to, although they fell at the final hurdle many times, and I'm not giving them excuses for that, to competing almost every single year. And not every competition, because I think there was maybe a couple where there was a distance there, but at least 2 out of the 3 competitions every single year they were competing, and I don't think anyone else can say otherwise. And obviously the Rangers fans want to win, but right now we just need a team that can compete, because it looks like, and a manager that can make a team compete, because it just looks like they can't at the moment.
I was just going to say on the Michael Beale point, I do think that if Steven Gerrard came in and Michael Beale was his assistant, or he was in the coaching staff, and it quickly got off to a successful start and the performances looked a lot better than they were, I don't think many Rangers fans would really be that bothered if it's the best for the football club.
I just thought, I was just saying in terms of initially.
Yeah, initially, I think there would be a. But
how the feeling is right now,
yeah,
and then bringing in Michael Beale along with him, for me personally, and a lot of supporters, I'd imagine, would going, "Oh God, here we go again."
Yeah, but I think all you have to do is look across the city at Celtic and Brendan Rodgers right now. I think a lot of Celtic fans, detested Brendan Rodgers after he left for Leicester City, and of course he came back in, and although a few fans were sceptical, I think, a few fans have grown scepticism again in recent times with the performances, but I think the overall riding feeling was that he's got the fans back on side, and I think Michael Beale could do the same, but I don't think Steven Gerrard will be the next Rangers manager. I just really can't see the 49ers going down that route. I think they would see it as a backward step rather than a sort of forward step in the way they want to run the football club. That's the way I see it. So I don't think Steven Gerrard will be the manager.
See, the thing that draws me towards Gerrard, though, Ethan, I think they know that gets them right back on side. They know that a lot of fans will buy right into that right away.
Yeah, but it's not about that, though. It's about being a successful football club. And if they believe that Steven Gerrard is the perfect candidate to make Rangers win the league again, because obviously that's what he done his first spell, then that, of course, it'd be a great appointment.
I don't think there would be genuine pressure for him to win the league this season.
No, of course not. But there would be genuine pressure on him to win the league in his third season, like he done before. So, yeah, but it's really difficult because I think they're going to have to appoint someone that is good enough to keep the fans on side, but also be very aware that there's no quick fix out there that Rangers are going to win the league this season, or even next season. This is going to take a few seasons, I think, for Rangers to, or at least until the end of this season, to build up a real challenge for a Scottish Premiership title. And the owners need to realise that. They will be aware of that, but the fans need to realise that as well. But they need to get the appointment right. They need to get someone that can galvanise the support and the players into believe in what they're doing, show shoots of recovery and progress and steps in the right direction, closing the gap to Celtic, closing the gap to Hearts, and then make a real attempt next season when they've got, because a lot of the players they've got at the moment, and that a few fans are not sure about, are loan signings, so that they can forget about them. If they're not successes this season, they can get rid of them and bring in new players that are success. But I do think the recruitment this season has also been really poor, and that's maybe contributed towards why the season started so poorly, as well as the appointment of Russell Martin.
Yeah, Reagan, see, just on your point there about you don't think that there would be instant pressure on whoever came in, whether it be Gerrard, whether it be someone else to win the league this season. Yeah, obviously, I think the league's done. But what I will say is, from my perspective, whoever came in, I'd be expecting them to at least win a cup or go for both the cups and progress in Europe. And because, fresh start, get it in quick. You're in a semi-final against a Celtic side who we've seen are vulnerable. Obviously, they're better than Rangers so far this season, but we've seen they are vulnerable, and they couldn't create much against possibly the worst Rangers side in history. So, whoever comes in, they will be expected to go for that League Cup, get to the final, and batter St Mirren. No, but but whoever does come in is fully expected to at least get the League Cup or the Scottish Cup or both and get out of the European League phase. There will be instant pressure by that point.
Do you think that's a realistic? Sorry, Robbie. Do you think that's a realistic expectation, though, Alex? When you look,
yeah,
I know you can blame the manager and Russell Martin, but is that squad good enough to actually win a trophy this year? Because you said it, at the moment Celtic are ahead of them, and you could even you can't argue it actually. Hearts are ahead of them, so
yep.
So that you believe that you would expect that of any manager that came in.
Mm-hmm. That's the expectation every time a manager comes into Rangers.
Alex,
that's possibly why Rangers went through so many managers, because it's an unrealistic expectation of their manager. Maybe. But
I think it would be very difficult for a manager to come in and win a double. I think it would. Maybe a one cup.
I don't expect them to win a double. I expect them to win at least one.
Right. Okay.
But they should make a real good go of a double.
Well, of course they should. The Rangers should, no matter what state they're in, Celtic, Rangers should do it every season. Should really make an attempt at a treble. Yeah.
But I'm intrigued, Alex, about your pick for Sean Dyche. I'm looking at his managerial record, and he's never had above a 36% win percentage in his whole managerial career. And you could argue he's managed Burnley in a top club, in the Premier League, and it's been hard at times. To me, that doesn't scream a manager that's going to go in there and play the type of football that maybe Rangers fans want to see and maybe deliver results. Are you confident that he can be the guy to go in there and turn it around?
I don't care about the style of football anymore. I just 4-4-2, get the two big men up top, get Atman and Gassama on the wings, just slinging crosses in from any chance you get. And just make it. Do you know what Sean Dyche will do? He'll shore up the defence. He'll make us nasty. He'll make us tough to beat, and he'll make us difficult to play against. This season, we've not been difficult to play against at all. At all. And I'm not Sean Dyche. He's not the ideal candidate. He's not. But within the realms of possibility, I think he's one of the best that you could go for. And maybe that just shows where I'm at right now. The fact that I'm wanting Sean Dyche in the door. But I think he'd shore us up. He'd get us organised. Like I said, make us difficult to beat, nasty to play against. And I don't care about watching beautiful football. I could, if we win every game 1-0 from a big header or a goal line scramble or whatever. I just want to win football matches at this point.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting, because Sean Dyche has obviously proven he's a very good manager in the Premier League over the years, and he had massive success, especially at Burnley. And as Alex said, his team's built on defensive solidity. He won the championship once, I believe, with Burnley. But would he be able to deal with playing against 9, I would say 9 at the moment, because I would take Celtic and possibly Motherwell out of that, but I think all other 9 teams would be pretty prepared to sit behind the ball most of the game, frustrate the opposition, make it difficult for them. Would he be able to sort of structure a team to sort of run the course and win those games over the length of a season, do you think?
Maybe. I don't know. We did do it with Burnley, like you said.
The only thing I would say,
The Championship's like a lot more open a league. I don't think you're going to get a lot more low blocks in the Scottish Premiership than you would in the Championship, I think.
I think that we can adjust.
No, I think he possibly can, but it's obviously not.
I think he's, he gets a lot of grief, but I think it's because of the teams that he's been with. I don't think we've ever seen him with a team where he's got more resources than everyone in the division, bar one. So apart from maybe Burnley, and like you said, they did win the league. So, I would back him to do well at Rangers, but he's out of the 3 names that I've seen being floated, he's the one who I think is the most accomplished manager, not in terms of honours, because obviously the other name is Kevin Muscat, and he's done pretty well for himself, but he's been doing it across the continents. He's currently managing Shanghai Port in the Chinese Super League. They are top, fair play, but he's one that he's managed in the Premier League for yonks, and he's been brilliant, and you know what you're getting with him.
the only thing I would say with Muscat as well is Muscat plays a great brand of football, and he definitely knows how to win matches, because he's won in so many countries. He's won in obviously so many in Asia, and he's won with Ange Postecoglou as well.
Yeah, because I think he managed the same side as I think he managed Yokohama Marinos as well at one point, and I think he's currently the team he's with, Shanghai Port. They are currently the champions. I don't know if he was there when they won it. I've not 100% done my research yet. Bad journalism from me, guys, but I've just kind of been jumping up and down in my room all day celebrating. But he's. I would take Kevin Muscat as well. I wouldn't see what I will say. The 3 names that are being currently put forward, I wouldn't be unhappy with any of them. So, just then, Stephen Robinson for the next Rangers manager. I've actually done a bit of a pivot on Stephen Robinson, I think. This might shock you guys, but I'd probably take him. But I don't think he leaves St Mirren for anything else other than Northern Ireland, to be totally honest. He's made it clear that that's his dream, to manage his nation. He did an interview the other day talking about how his greatest regret that he was the only won 7 caps for them. So yeah, I think Robbie will be happy to hear that I personally think he'll be in Paisley until Northern Ireland come calling for them, and that's if they even do. So we might see Stephen Robinson St Mirren manager for the next 20 years.
But
surely. On you go, Robbie.
No, I was just going to say, it doesn't surprise me that you want Robinson. I think he's a top-class manager in my opinion, but of course I'm biased. I'm a St Mirren fan, I'm going to say that. What I would say is, if you're looking for defensive stability, I don't see much difference in Robinson and Deitch as 2 options. I think
Didn't you guys lose 2-0 at the weekend?
Yeah, but we also drew with you, so early in the season. So
Burnley never lose.
And you conceded. You conceded in that game as well, didn't you?
Sean Dyche concedes goals as well. My point is, Stephen Robinson knows the league 10 times more than Sean Dyche does, and that's a fact.
He does. Yeah, that's a great point. I was just going to say. Sorry. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was going to say, surely if Stephen Robinson sort of wants to be I think obviously Northern Ireland will be aware of him, of course, but going to Rangers and being successful would really be the sort of advertisement he really needs to say, right, I can do this, give me the job, sort of thing. Whereas St Mirren, people still, no matter the fact that we are all agreeing here that he would definitely be a capable manager to go and manage be the manager of Rangers. Other people outside of Scotland would maybe turn their nose up a little bit at him. So I don't think he'll be the next Rangers manager either, personally. But I don't think it's out of the question. I was just going to say, Muscat won the Australian League twice. He's won the Chinese League twice, and he's won the Japanese League once, I believe. So, yeah, pretty successful record.
And another, although with Muscat though, former Rangers defender, and we've just had one of those, so I don't know.
I don't think we know. I don't think we. I feel like maybe just like one of the last points on this. I don't know if we know of the next Rangers manager yet. I think it might be someone out of the blue that none of us really see coming, because I think that's the approach the 49ers will take.
See, on that point, even I don't think it should be somebody at the blue, because they tried that with Russell Martin. It should be somebody that knows the club and knows Scottish football, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if Russell Martin was that out of the blue. I think he was one that... I think he was out of the blue, yes, you could argue. But he was one that you could have sort of...
But I mean, he was somebody that the 49ers knew, because the 49ers got beat by him in the championship and the playoff final.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard today about Stephen Davis and Michael O'Neill from Northern Ireland. What do you guys think about that?
I don't think there's any chance Stephen Davis takes the job. I don't think he'd get near it, to be honest with you.
No, Stephen Davis is he will be the assistant manager to Michael O'Neill from Northern Ireland.
I never been at their shout, to be honest with you.
If we're going for a Northern Irish, manager, I'd much rather Stephen Robinson, to be totally honest. So yeah, but Muscat.
What about Danny Rowe?
The only thing with Muscat is that I just hope he wouldn't come out in his interviews and go, I always win trophies in my second season, mate. Because then that's when you know it's going to go downhill. like a certain person.
Well, he did win in his second. He did win in his second season. So.
Who's really struggling right now and down south? It looks like he could be on his way out already.
Would you take him?
No.
No. Why not?
No, I wouldn't. I don't care if he would turn us into prime Barcelona. I wouldn't take him.
What about Danny Rowe, Alex? That's another name I've seen mentioned.
Who?
Danny Rowe, the former Sheffield Wednesday boss.
I'll be honest, mate. I don't know. I couldn't tell you too much
about. He's
him.
a very young. He's only had one job, and it was Sheffield Wednesday for 2 years. So he's a very young manager, but it's a name that I've seen put about quite a lot.
Yeah, Talksport said that basically that he's under the Rangers board like what they see with him. I think he's German. Is that right, Robbie?
Yeah.
I think he's the most realistic out of the names we've mentioned, because he's proven that he's not really took on a task like Rangers where he's expected to win most of the games and whatever. He's been with Sheffield Wednesday in a very difficult situation, as we know there. Obviously knows Gassama, and yeah, I remember seeing Josh Windass speaking very highly of him. So yeah, I think that could be an interesting one and possibly the most realistic of the ones we mentioned. He's only 36, so very young, as Robbie said. But yeah, it'd be a massive task for him, and that could go down the same route as Russell Martin, but it also could be a brilliant appointment. But that's the same every appointment, isn't it? There's always a risk involved no matter who you go for. But Rangers just need to get it right at the end of the day, and that's what the 49ers will be looking to do, because there's not much margin for error this season.
But I think another criticism, guys. Okay, we can talk about obviously Russell Martin, but I think a lot of the blame needs to go to Farewell and Stewart as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, that they have received a fair share of abuse online as well, obviously in public also. And, obviously they should never receive any kind of personal abuse, but criticism about the job that they've done. I think, because after all, you're allowed to criticise people. So yeah, I think they should be open to criticism and open to hearing. One point that I did want to make, though, that doesn't put a lot of faith in me for the next manager, is their other main candidate was Davide Ancelotti, who's stinking up the gaff in Brazil. So it's not looking good with the kind of managers that they go for. He's out of the Copa Libertadores and he's out of the Copa do Brasil over there, and obviously Botafogo were the holders, I think, of the Libertadores. So yeah, not great.
It'll definitely be interesting to see who's next in line. I think it's so critical that the Rangers board to get this right. It needs to be a spot-on appointment. If it's anything else, it is turmoil at Rangers. But moving on to the game then, yesterday, obviously a 1-1 draw away at Falkirk. Jay for the in-betweeners banging one top right in the second half. But I think Falkirk actually done really well. And I know obviously a lot of people expect to go into games against Rangers on a comfortable side and expect to go and get points, but it's still a tough task. And in my opinion, Ethan, I thought Falkirk had their own for most of that game.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the match, but from all I heard from Rangers fans watching the game, watching the highlights and looking at the stats, it seemed like Falkirk were all over Rangers, and Rangers were quite lucky to really be in the lead when they took it with Bojan Miovski. And then, yeah, as you said, it was an absolutely brilliant strike from Henry Cartwright. You could have, I think, had two goalkeepers, and then they wouldn't have saved that one. And yeah, Falkirk deserved it, at the very least a point. And yeah, it was more of the same from Rangers, really. The only sort of question I have at this point, after Russell Martin's obviously relieved his duties, is the situation with Mikey Moore, because he's continuously being played despite his performances being pretty poor. And I wonder if there's a sort of clause in his loan contract that means he needs to reach a certain minutes or appearances, because I think he's been really poor. And obviously he's a young lad, 18.
Mikey poor.
A young lad coming into a situation like this, you can't expect him to really perform, but it's just the fact that you've got players there like Finlay Curtis who have, I would say, been more impactful when they've been given the chance. It's not even getting a sniff.
That's something that really annoys me. You've got your own player who's come through your academy, he's Scottish, he's homegrown, he's better than the next great winger of England, based off of evidence this season, and he's not getting a sniff in the team, and there might be a loan clause. What I will say about Mikey Moore is he's clearly talented, and I think maybe with the right manager he could, excel, but it's mad that he's been getting games. I think, my dad said you'd be better with sticking on a deck chair with a Rangers shirt than having Mikey Moore on the pitch. And that is really harsh, and obviously you want him to do well, but you've got your own player there who's going to be there for the future and who is, come up in big moments. He scored 3 goals this season and he's barely been involved. So yeah, that's another baffling decision.
Do you think that's something that, again, the next Rangers manager needs to look at? You know, if somebody like Mikey Moore, we were on the show, I'm sure, weeks ago, saying that he probably should have been dropped out of the team and, you know, he should have been given a break out of everything that was going on. The next Rangers manager really needs to, you know, make his decisions and spot things like that. You know, Mikey Moore, like we can all see he's so low in confidence and he doesn't look like he's playing well right now and he could go to the team. So whoever comes in next really needs to, you know, have a look at these players and go, right, he's needing a few weeks out of the team and stuff like that.
Yeah,
definitely.
You need to identify these things, and you make a really good point there, Robbie. You can see he's low on confidence. You can see he's struggling. He's trying things that aren't coming off, and he just looks dejected. And I don't know if it's part of it's an internal thing that he's second guessing himself, but his decision making's been absolutely honking. There was a point on Saturday where he beat a player. He waited for him to get back and then jogged back and just passed it back. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So, yeah.
No, and there was a similar situation as well at Celtic this season where Celtic fans seen Dane Murray playing, thought this guy looks quite solid, and then they signed Jemai Simpson-Pusey on loan with no option to buy, the same as Mickey Moore, obviously. And it just seems like you're developing a player. You're getting, obviously, you get the benefit of having a really talented player, but when you've got your own player there who you can play and develop, then sometimes it seems like that's the better option. Obviously, the Jemai Simpson-Pusey he's not even been in the squads at Celtic, and it's a really strange situation. I imagine he'll be recalled by Man City pretty soon. Celtic obviously don't have a clause where they have to play him a certain amount of games because he hasn't been on the pitch yet. But yeah, I just want to.
He must be rubbish, by the way.
I think
absolutely rubbish.
I don't think he's rubbish because he's played for Man City in the Champions League, so he's obviously a good player. But I think there might be some politics behind why he's not playing.
Oh, you think he was a board signing?
No, I think we obviously know sort of Peter Lawwell's connection with Man City and sort of theories that Brendan Rodgers and Peter Lawwell aren't the best of mates. So I think you can probably see where I'm trying to go with that. But yeah, it's strange. I think Finlay Curtis should be getting more game time than he should, not only from a Rangers point of view, but also a Scotland point of view. And it was really disappointing to see when he's looked like a really talented player and turned up in some massive moments for Rangers this season, Panathinaikos especially, and he still can't get a sniff.
Alex, I was going to ask you about one guy in particular, Miovski. Obviously scored again. Are you optimistic for the future with him up front? The next guy that comes in can maybe try and utilise him. I suppose he scored at the weekend, but still utilise him to that advantage and, get him in the end of more chances and get him creating more stuff, even if the manager decides to go with a two up top, which I know you've been calling it for a while. How optimistic are you with a guy like him up front?
Yeah, I'm very optimistic about Bojan Miovski because he's a proven goal scorer. He's scored 2 goals already, and you can see the movement, you can see the runs, you can see, you can see he's a good striker, but he's not been getting the service, and he's been isolated. And you saw when he got the service. By the way, Derek Cornelius for left back. I want to see him more there. But when he got the service from Cornelius, it was a really, it was a nice finish, nice movement from him to sort of drift off the defender. And if he can get the right manager in to utilise him, I think he'll score bagloads of goals. And the £8 million plastic bag, on the other hand, I'm not 100% sure.
Very good. You're taking the full cut then. Another point on the board. Obviously, before that, the last 3 games, 2 losses and a draw. John McGlinn's men will hope to keep building on that. Obviously, we're on the international break right now. but when they come back, they take on Motherwell away at Fir Park. So it's another tough game for them, but they'll be hoping they can maybe take something for that point and try and build on it. 'Cause I thought they looked quite energetic and quite good at points.
I thought Falkirk were actually really played really well. I thought, and they probably should have won the game through Brian Graham in the last minute. But I mean, I think Falkirk.
Brian Graham shouldn't have been on the pitch in the last minute.
I didn't see the full game. What happened?
He was from the moment he was on. I think he had about 5 fouls. He should have been off with a double booking. He was just smashing into players. He's a big thug. No footballing ability whatsoever. There's no wonder why he's not getting games in the Premiership. He's rubbish.
He's very aggressive.
Not because of the fact he's nearly 40.
Eh?
Not because of the fact he's nearly 40. I think he's the
Well,
oldest.
if he was so good, he would have had a 20-year Premiership career and would have been amazing.
Oh, he was pretty. Well, he was really good actually in the Championship last season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but that's the Championship. Simo Valakari is looking like Pep Guardiola in the Championship.
but that's because Simo Valakari is a good manager.
Yeah, in comparison to the rest of the managers in the Championship.
No, I would say he wouldn't be the worst manager in the Premiership.
No, he definitely wouldn't. But he's not. The point I'm making is he's not going to be a Celtic or Rangers manager, is he?
Well, you never know.
Right, just like Brian Graham's rubbish.
Okay,
Brian
I disagree, but
He's very aggressive.
that's their opinion. That's what it's about.
He's dirty. You're just masking it with the word aggressive. He's dirty.
Well, it does like shouting at a referee a lot. That was what I was trying to say. He likes a wee shout, Brian.
He does indeed. Likes a wee whine, a wee moan. Nobody's passing me the ball. So, yeah, sorry. I don't know why I've just gone off on Brian Graham there.
Rangers, when they come back for the international break, obviously Dundee United at home. It's going to be a very interesting game, considering we don't know the circumstances of who's going to be in the Rangers dugout. Obviously, we'll know closer to the time. I suppose it's a good thing that right now we've still got another 2 weeks before that game. The manager, whoever comes in, will have a bit of time on the training pitch to implement his ideas. And you've got to say you're looking at Dundee United and SK Brann away. So for Rangers, you're looking at 2 games there where whoever comes in next, Alex is going to be looking to try and start off in a very, very good way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fallen quite favourably. Despite Ryan constantly trying to convince me that Brann are the best team to grace the face of the earth. They're a good team, and I'm not going to disrespect them because they're doing better than Rangers are in the Europa League this season. But Dundee United and Brann to come into as a bit of I'd say an easy sort of first 2 games, or a more comfortable first. I wouldn't say easy because no games for Rangers are easy at the moment. But it's more sort of comfortable for whoever the new manager is, because Dundee United are inconsistent. So they're really inconsistent. They're the new Dundee. I'd say they're the chaotic team of the division. I know Dundee United fans wouldn't like to hear that, but I'm just likening it to sort of Tony Docherty last season, and obviously Brann are interesting. So you don't know what you're going to get. It'll be a really difficult place to go, but you could have had harder games. You could have been coming into like Celtic and Roma or something. So, yeah.
Aye, Brann are a very, very physical team as well, so that'll be an interesting matchup when that game comes out.
By that time, Sean Dyche will have had them all in the gym, and they'll all be jacked. They'll all be 6'5" all of a sudden, even Raskin, and will physically dominate Brann.
Every player will look like James Tarkowski out on a football pitch. Funny,
yeah, absolutely. Michael Caine and Tarkowski, the dynamic duo. Ben Mee as well, Burnley legend. Can't forget him. That is football heritage right there.
I'm just picturing the prospect now: Sean Dyche versus Stephen Robinson and Paisley direct ball for 90 minutes on either side. Just balls constantly up in the air.
You reckon
going back
Sean
and forth.
Dyche? You reckon Sean Dyche would get drawn into something and actually like nut someone just because of how like thingy Scottish football could get? I reckon he'd be right up for a scrap.
Right in a Rangers v Celtic day as well. Squaring that to Rodgers.
But he'd be squaring off against the Green Brigade. No, but in all seriousness, we'll try to keep a level of professionalism. Come on, guys.
Let's move on to Celtic Park. Celtic 3, Motherwell 2. Jens Bertholascu will probably be kicking himself at not getting something out of that game. I don't know if I know Ethan, you were there, Reagan, I think you were there as well.
Yeah,
The second Celtic goal, I mean, that Motherwell goalkeeper, Ward, that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make at Celtic Park. Ethan, we'll throw it to you first. Just sum up that 90 minutes for Celtic.
No, it was a really, really good game, actually. Really enjoyable. Everything that I hoped it would be. I heard a lot about Motherwell, seen the highlights, seen the statistics and the plaudits they got for how well they've been playing. And I sort of didn't think they'd be as good as they were at Celtic Park. I thought, yes, okay, it's all well and good doing this against every other team in the league, but going to Celtic Park, I think everyone understood was a different challenge completely. They obviously came unbeaten, doing really well, just missing out on a few wins that they probably should have got in the league. They obviously got over the hump recently with back-to-back wins against Aberdeen, and they looked like a really solid side. They were breaking Celtic's press pretty easily at times, and they created some clear-cut chances for themselves. Probably only really two, the two that they scored, the penalty and the other goal by Apostolos Stamatolopoulos in the first half. Celtic creating the most of the chances, but it was definitely a chaotic second half for Celtic. They had good control of the game in the first half while going ahead. Well, I say good control. They didn't really have good control. And to be fair to Motherwell, before Celtic got that penalty, which I think was a clear penalty, I don't really know what Regan Charles Cook is doing with his hands out there. Kelechi Iheanacho steps up well again, sends Ward the wrong way. And then Motherwell come back into the game and get an equaliser for Stamatolopoulos. As I said, very discontent, the Celtic fans at half-time, few boos ringing around the gang. And then Motherwell started the second half to better the two teams. Kasper Schmeichel again with some questionable distribution. Then they get the penalty, which I didn't actually really see at the time, but since seeing it back, Marcelo Saracchi inadvertently trips or stands on Tawanda Maswanisi. I think it is a penalty. Stamatolopoulos steps up again, and I think Kasper Schmeichel should probably do better, but Motherwell obviously put themselves in a really good position, going 2-1 ahead, and then a real test of Celtic's character to come back into the game and get those two goals, which the first one, as you said, Robbie, that's always a risk playing football like that at any level against any team, especially against Celtic at Celtic Park. And Ward, when he was in that position, I was thinking, surely he's just going to try and clip this out to the winger or the striker or something like that. But obviously, Jens Bertholascu wants him to play the way that he has been playing, and it's been really successful for Motherwell on the whole. And it was very successful at Celtic Park, but he just misses the pass, and obviously very costly in that area of the pitch. Benjamin Nygren converts to make it 2 each, and then Celtic throw everything at it. Brendan Rodgers makes all of his substitutions, and then it's 3 players that really needed the moment, I think. It's a really nice ball from Arne Engels to find Michel Ajbalakwisha, and it's a good ball across from him, and Daisen Maeda, who I think some Celtic fans were saying it's his worst ever performance for Celtic, gets the winner with a diving header in the dying stages for a massive point swing between Celtic and Rangers, especially when at one point Rangers were ahead and Celtic were behind, and then Celtic go ahead and Falkirk obviously peg Rangers back. So yeah, massive 3 points for Celtic, and a lot of credit needs to go to Motherwell because they did play really well and were really unfortunate. As you said, Jens Bertholascu probably is kicking himself that his team haven't came away from the game with anything, because it was an excellent performance and probably one of the best styles of most aesthetically pleasing style of football I've ever seen from a Scottish team at Celtic Park outside of Celtic or Rangers. So yeah, really well played by Motherwell, but unfortunate not to take anything from the game.
Regan, you look at Celtic, just how big was that? And obviously, I don't know what time exactly the meeting is tonight. I do believe it is tonight with the Celtic fans and some of the board members. I don't think I'd want to be sitting here imagining a world in which Celtic had dropped points or lost to Motherwell and we were going into this meeting tonight. For Celtic, just how big was that 3 points in retrospect, Regan?
I think it was so big because I was at the game yesterday and I was thinking Brendan Rodgers better take my head off. And that's what I think that shows you why I'm sitting here and Brendan Rodgers is managing Celtic. Because I thought my head was terrible during the game. I really did think he wasn't tracking back great. Anything he was trying to do was making Motherwell get free kicks and stuff like that. So I think in terms of him, I'm glad he scored, and hopefully now he can start to forget about that move that he wanted and try and focus on Celtic, because I think that's ultimately, I think that's been the big reason why he's not playing to his best. But hopefully now he can start to do well again, because the Celtic fans have still got that passion for him and they still want to see him do well. It's not as if the Celtic fans are booing him, they still want him to do well. And you've seen that response when he scored yesterday. I've got to say though, I was really impressed by Motherwell. I think it's the first time in a long while, probably since that game where Neil Lennon brought his team to Celtic Park in maybe 2019 when it was a 2-2 draw. When John scored the 2 goals, and then after that game, people were saying that Brendan Rodgers is going to sign him. I think that was the best game I've seen from a Scottish team in Celtic Park. I just felt like Motherwell were really, really good, and I felt like they showed that if you go to Celtic Park or you go to Ibrox, then you can really do something. But also, I would say it showed great the determination by Celtic to go from 2-1 down to 3-2 up, because I think as soon as that second one goes in for Motherwell, I don't know about you, Ethan, but I didn't see a world where Celtic were getting many shots. But I don't know if that actually going 2-1 behind told the team, like, we need to get on the ball here. We need to go. Because see when it was 1-0 and it was 1 each, you didn't really see Celtic take many shots.
No, you didn't, and that I think I might have made that point actually, that before Celtic actually got the penalty, they didn't look like scoring. In all fairness to Motherwell were solid off the ball. They posed threats on it, not really having shots or whatever, but they got up the pitch well on occasions. But yeah, I think the second goal for Motherwell really woke Celtic up, and they had a stronger period after that. They didn't score in that. It kind of died down a little bit again, and then they got the equaliser. And then, of course, Dyson Maeda gets the winner, which is a massive result because what would they have fallen 5 points behind or 4 points behind Hearts? So
yeah, four if they'd drawn, 5 if they lost. And see, just on that comment there from Ian, it's massive. And I said that about Hearts while I was on Pitch and Patter, and I said that about Celtic. And those 2 wins they got at the weekend, those are the type of wins that win you titles when you're not playing super well. Because that Edinburgh derby wasn't great either, but you can dig out the win, and they both did in the final stages of the game, and it's so crucial that they managed to get back into that. For a minute, I thought Jens Bertolausku's prophecy was coming true. He said they were going to go to Celtic Park to win, but Celtic said, "Nah, we're not doing that," and then they managed to get it. get the win in the end. And like I said, those are the type of wins that win you titles, when you can do it when it's your back's against the wall and you really need it.
Yeah.
So
And
what do,
on you go, Robbie.
no, I was just going to say, what do you guys think about Motherwell, right? And I'm not disregarding the way they're playing, because they're playing some fantastic stuff, and I'll never take that away from their team. But they've only picked up one Premiership win this season. You know, if you look at the actual facts, you know, it's not been wins every game. You know, they've not been high flying in that perspective. So, what do you think it is that Jens Bertholascu maybe needs to tweak in his team? And I know obviously he got 2 wins back to back against Aberdeen, booked his spot in the semi final and stuff. But you know, they conceded 2 at home to Kilmarnock, conceded 3 away to Hearts after being such a big goal advantage up. So, is there still things that you think Motherwell maybe need to tweak on their style and system and stuff like that?
No, I don't think so. I think they were struggling to get that first win, and they did. And then, unfortunately, they came up against Celtic, but they nearly did it against Celtic. And I don't think you can take too much into consideration losing to Celtic in that fashion. I think Motherwell are just fine. And if they keep going the way they're going, I think they will challenge, and I think they'll pick up wins. It won't be perfect, but yeah, I think Motherwell are okay.
I agree with both the points both of these make. I think obviously the performances were there, but the results maybe weren't to start the season. But I think you've got to remember as well that Jens Bertholascu is just coming into the job, that they're still going to grow and get better probably as the season goes on. And in the next 3 games, I look at a real proposition of possibly 9 points from 9. And I know it's not easy. The game's not played on paper, etc. But Falkirk at home, Livingston away, Dundee United at home. That's 3 winnable fixtures, especially for this Motherwell team and how they've been playing. There was a few players from Motherwell that I thought really stood out. They all, obviously, to a man, were really good as to why they took Celtic until the final minutes of injury. Well, not the final minutes, but till injury time to get that goal, especially down the left side. I thought they were really good. Emmanuel Langelo's really impressed. I think everybody in Scottish football this season. Elliot Watt, especially good as well. I can't believe the sort of turnaround he's had from being at St Johnstone to getting picked up at Motherwell and being one of the main cogs in that midfield. And Regan Charles Cook looked really good on the left as well. So yeah, they look like a really solid team that will cause anybody in the league problems this season. And it really is entertaining to see them go to places like Celtic Park and double down with the style that's maybe not been as successful as they'd like wins wise, but certainly performances have been good, and it carried on at the weekend there. And on another day, they easily could have took something from that game. Celtic just had a little bit too much for them, and business as usual for Celtic, of what should be business as usual, but hasn't been often at times for Celtic this season. But a massive win, not only for sort of Celtic and thoughts to tracking back the deficit to Hearts, but also on a mentality basis. I think Celtic will come out the international break in a really strong place to improve, because I think most of the teams in the Premiership are going to improve this season as the season goes on. Motherwell, I would say, Celtic, Rangers can sort of only improve after the start they've had. Aberdeen will get on to. So yeah, I think everybody's getting better. And obviously the question is, can Hearts stay at the top because they've started the best of every team in the league?
Before we move on to the Edinburgh Derby, I want to ask you guys, the Celtic fans, about Benjamin Niederin. Obviously scored the second goal, but there was a lot of, I seen a few Celtic fans online giving him a bit of criticism for his celebration after the goal. I believe somebody said it was Ian Atcher that tried to sort of drag him away for cutting his ears. What did you guys make of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought it was a bit strange when you score and you play for Celtic at Celtic Park against Motherwell. You're obviously looking to win the game. You get the equaliser, but yeah, you need to get on with business. You can't really be celebrating too much, but yeah, I'm not looking too much into it. But yeah, I think after that he's probably learned where his place lies if he scores an equaliser, that that is it. And Kelechi Iheanacho was sort of first to tell him that, right, get back to the centre circle. We've got half an hour to get a winner here. And I don't know if any of you seen the video, but Kelechi Iheanacho was sitting on the drinks cooler, the Celtic dugout, heading every ball and making every tackle. And Brendan Rodgers looked over his shoulder at his striker and just sort of sniggered as to the sort of character he is. And I think he's really bought into life at Celtic, and that's maybe why he's been pretty successful so far at his time. And the only other talking point from maybe this game was the banner. I think most of you's probably seen, which was along the lines of "Don't bother with the meeting, just resign," was held up in the main stand of Celtic Park, right in front of the Celtic owners. So yeah, very interesting message again. And I think it'll be interesting to see the fallout of the meeting tonight, which, Robbie, you obviously referenced to.
Aye, it'll definitely be interesting. Do we know what time the meeting's at tonight?
No, I don't have an idea. I'm trying to look just now.
Reagan, what did you think about Nugent's celebration in the game?
I don't think there was a place for it yesterday, especially because Celtic were 2-1 behind. But I just think he's new to the environment of Celtic. But I think I totally agree with what you guys are saying. I think he's 2-1 down to Motherwell. I think he should just go try and move on with the matches as quickly as possible. And Graham, it's great to see you've joined us. Thank you for joining us, Graham.
No worries, always a pleasure.
I was just saying, Graham, I suppose while you're here, you must be feeling pretty happy after that weekend result.
I am never talking up an Edinburgh Derby again, because I have spent all week in the build-up to this game going, this could be an absolute cracker. Oh my word, was I so badly wrong. That was brutal. And I should have known the way Hibs kicked off when they just at the rugby kick and punted up the park, it was going to be an absolute shocker. And then Cammy Devlin did the same thing second half. But do you know what? In Derby games, I've said it before, it's all about winning. Performance doesn't matter. It was a really poor game. I don't really think either team did enough to win the game. Hibs had that one chance in the second half from Martin Boyle. And I'll be honest, when he missed that, I was thinking, do you know what? This might be our day. Honestly, I was buzzing after that game because I couldn't see a win coming for us. We created very little. I thought we didn't get Shanklin and Braggett in the game. Kez Reedus looked our biggest threat. But I was just, when Halkett scored that goal, I don't think I've gone as mental as that for a long time. It was brilliant. I'm still buzzing now, I'm going to be honest.
You've got to say, I mean, the goal was nice. The ball in for Jota was absolutely phenomenal.
That's a great ball, mate. I mean, Jota's not really had a lot of chances this season. He's been on the periphery. He's come on a couple of times, but not really done a lot. But what a delivery that is. On that left foot, it's a cross that the keeper can't really come for. And to be fair to Craig Halkett, it's a great finish because he's watched that all the way. It's a fantastic, that's a striker's finish, that. So yeah, honestly, it was great. Absolutely fantastic finish.
We always speak about, Graham, the fact that our team's been able to go and get winners. We spoke about it earlier with Celtic. How much confidence does that give you that Hearts, even in a game where it just didn't look like either team were going to score at a point, it wasn't the best spectacle to watch? How good was a feeling that Hearts just never gave up in that game and actually went and get that winner?
Well, it's not the first time. We did it against Livingston. We did it against Dundee United. We are a team now that actually goes and tries to win games. And I think even if you look at Saturday, the substitutions they made, he didn't put defending, like too many defensive players on. He actually went for it, which I like. I've said it before, I think there's been a change in mentality with this Hearts squad this season because that would never have happened last season. No chance. Derek McInnes has definitely got a bit more mentality about this Hearts team. And there's really good players in the team as well. There's a really, really good squad mentality there. And to see Craig Halkett, a guy who I think when he's fit is our best centre-back by an absolute mile, scoring that goal. And even before that, I thought he was really good. I thought he really handled Boyle and Bowie really well. But there's a different mentality in this Hearts side this season.
I think I think Charlie McGrew mentioned it in Premier Sports, Graham, but I'm sure he would play striker before, is that right?
He did used to play striker when he was younger, yeah.
Aye. But I mean,
What-
sorry, on you go, Robbie.
No, I was just going to ask you guys for the outside looking into Hearts. What are you guys thinking for the season then? Obviously, again, as Graham mentioned there, they seem to have that mentality now. They can go and win a game when it's as tight as that, and they maybe need one man to step up and not to take anything away for the ball that was put in by Kajota because it was brilliant. But Hearts, they seem to have that factor now where they can really push on, and when it's a tight game and it's tight circumstances, they go and have that mentality to go and get that winner.
Yeah,
Aye,
sorry, Reagan. I was just going to say they absolutely do. I've been really impressed with Hearts this season, the way they dominated Rangers at Ibrox as well. Obviously, Rangers aren't great, but I think I said it at the time. For any team, even going against a rubbish Rangers team, to go to Ibrox and play the way Hearts did is really impressive, and they're rightfully top of the league. Although Graham may not like this, but right now I think I'm not ready quite to pull the trigger and say they are well and truly title challengers. It sounds silly because they are top, but it's always the same almost every year. We have someone up there going for it. Although what I have said, it is different this year because a team other than Celtic are outright top at the moment. That is the main factor. But if Hearts can keep it up, I think they definitely can push for the title this season.
Yeah, I think it's a refreshing change as well because, like the point you made, I think it's the first time in nearly a year and a half that a team outside of Celtic's actually been top of the league, because Celtic were top of the Premiership for the whole of last season, and of course the end of the season before.
On the opening day, Livingston were top of the league this year, so.
Okay. I meant last season. I didn't say this season. I said last.
You said in a year and a half.
Yeah, but they were top last for large parts of the season before as well. Because they won it.
Other teams have been top. I was just making a joke.
Okay. If you want, right? Well, a couple. When was the first game of the season? Like a month ago, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. So maybe not quite a year and a half or 18 months, but you get my point. Last season, Celtic were really strong, even when Aberdeen were winning every game and got to Celtic Park and got a really good point. This season, Celtic aren't looking great. Rangers are obviously look terrible so far, but we expect that to change. Hearts have been really solid. They've done what they need to do. They've grinded out results when they've needed to. They've also had really convincing performances at times as well. And I really hope that it won't really make a difference. It'll be a massive match regardless. But if both Celtic beat Dundee and Hearts win at Rugby Park, then it'll be a massive game at Tynecastle in a couple match days' time to see how that one go. And at the moment, I would say Hearts are favourites for that game. And yeah, maybe interesting, a little bit controversial, but yeah, I think Hearts are favourites.
And I think that shows the own story that, I mean, Celtic against Hearts, I mean, it's not too often you would say that even, you know what I mean? It just shows you the progress that they've made under Derek.
Yeah, exactly that. And it'd be interesting to hear Graham's thoughts. I think someone's just asking in the chat there, would you take a draw with Celtic at Tynecastle?
I think it depends on that result against Kilmarnock. I probably would, depend on the circumstances, but the way we're playing just now, I think the thing with Derek McInnes is going into every game trying to win it, and it's been a while since I've actually seen a Hearts manager do that. And again, like I said earlier, he went to that Hibs game trying to win the game. He didn't sit back and think, right, a 0-0 draw will do this. He went to win the game. And I think we'll do the same thing against Celtic, but that Kilmarnock game is huge. Derek McInnes going back to a place where the fans now absolutely despise him because of the way that he left, that is going to be huge. If we can win that game, I think that could be massive. But I do agree with Alex. I've said it already. I don't think Hearts will win the league. I think we probably will drop off. But there's no reason that squad couldn't finish second with the players we've got. The one thing I would say, though, and I've seen it again today numerous times, and I spoke to a couple of mates about this that are Rangers fans, they've already talked about the fact that they could see Derek McInnes going to Rangers. That is not going to happen. No chance.
We spoke about that earlier, and I think there's, if I was Derek McInnes, I wouldn't take the Rangers job right now because, from the outside looking in, if you're not really entrenched in Scottish football, if you're just someone maybe from Europe or in England, you're looking and going, Hearts are going for the league, and I don't know why you would leave a job like that. Obviously, they unfortunately went out the League Cup, but I think a Scottish Cup's definitely a possibility for Hearts as well this season. So I don't know why you would, and I don't think it is gonna happen, especially since he's just in the door and he's doing so well.
Another thing. On you go, Robbie.
No, I was just going to say, Graham, one man that must be loving this right now, especially is Tony Bloom. Now, we've all heard the quotes, and a lot of people, as we keep saying, were laughing at the quotes, but Graham, he must have the biggest smirk and smile on his face right now after that game, because he, I think you and a lot of Hearts fans and a lot of us are very grounded, and as Alex was saying there, not quite pulling the trigger on Hearts being in a title race. But if you're Tony Bloom, you've got to be fancying your chances this season.
He wasn't smiling as much as I was on Saturday, I tell you that right now, because I was buzzing. But yeah, I mean, quite rightly so. And he's already, I think, said that if we are still kind of in a title race come January, we might not be, then he may well spend the money again and go another £1 million player, which is, even looking at Saturday, we've still not got a J in that squad yet. A guy we spent £1.7 million on, we've not got him in the squad yet because he's injured. He'll be back for Kilmarnock, so we've still got players to come back into that squad. And we've got such a big squad, and I think, again, I said it before, I think on the last pod that was on, when Tony Bloom came in and said that he'd be disappointed if Hearts didn't win the league in the next 10 years, a lot of folk outside Hearts laughed at that. But I said that then, if anyone can prove it, he can. The job he's done at USG, the job he's done at Brighton, you have to take him seriously. This isn't like a Vladimir Romanov situation where the guy came in with really nothing to back that up. Tony Bloom can do that. He's serious about this. And I think, rightly so. He's got a fantastic squad. He's got the right manager in charge. He's got a very good squad of players, a togetherness there. We're now, I said this, I think, on Friday as well. We're not reliant on Lawrence Shankland anymore. We've got other players that can step up and win a game for us that Lawrence Shankland was doing for a long, long time. So there's a lot to be positive about for Hearts. Can we keep it going? I don't know. I hope so. But I'm not one of these folk that's going to get carried away and think we can win the league. Derek McInnes has said this. We need to get at least 2 round of fixtures, see what are in January, and then look at it from there. But it's one game at a time. That's all we can do.
Yeah, and another thing that maybe plays into Hearts' hands is that there's not sort of extra fixtures coming out of nowhere around the corner. And I know obviously it gets busy around Christmas time, but no European action, as I think Alex mentioned earlier, not in the League Cup, so they don't need to play those extra games. So until the Scottish Cup comes around, full focus on the league. And, well, most of it, the time it'll be sort of one game a week. And, of course, if you're looking at the direct opposition at the moment being Celtic, they're playing in Europa League. And, of course, Celtic have a stronger squad. There's no getting away from that. And they should do for the finance that Celtic pour into their squad compared to Hearts. But I think that could be an interesting dynamic as well. So, yeah, I don't think anyone, some people would say that Hearts are in the title race, but I don't think you can really. I don't know. They're in a title race in the terms of an early season, but we are very, very early. I don't think most people are expecting Hearts to be there come the end of the season. A lot of people probably still expect them to not even finish in that top 2, and I think Rangers are still slight favourites to finish second ahead of Hearts.
I don't think so.
No, well, I'm going off that. That's off a data sort of angle. Rangers are still slight favourites ahead of Hearts, but it is getting closer and closer to Hearts being second favourites.
Yeah, just on back to Tony Bloom, Graham mentioned Romanov and the fact that Bloom's got stuff to back it up as well. Tony Bloom also knows what he's doing. He's got a plan in place with sort of the recruitment, and he took on football from a different perspective. And he, like you said, he's been successful, and so far the recruitment strategy has worked. for Hearts this season as well. You know, I can't think in terms of manager and the players that brought in. I mean, Alexandros Kezridis has been superb, and yeah, it's really really good. And we're talking about, are they in it this season? Are they not? Tony, I think it goes back. Sorry, lost my train of thought there, but I think it goes to the fact that even if they don't get to the league this season, you can see there is potential for the future. And Tony Bloom's saying he'll be surprised if Hearts don't win the league in the next 10 years. You know, I think there's evidence now to suggest that Hearts probably will win a league in the next 10 years if they continue on this trajectory.
Yeah, I definitely think Hearts could. You know, I think the biggest thing for me this season is, I think you mentioned it earlier, is not having European football when your biggest challengers do. I mean, obviously, as he said, they've got the squad depth, certainly, you know, by playing in Europe, but Hearts having that really big squad and not having to play in Europe, I think that will be one of the biggest factors of the season. I think that will really play into Hearts' hands come the, you know, sort of later parts, because I think everybody has maybe an expectation that Celtic will get a bit further in Europe. So, you know, if they're going as far as they can into play every sort of couple of days, then, you know, that will play right into Hearts' favour.
Yeah, I think it definitely does help. I mean, I'd like to be in European football, don't get me wrong, for the money and the prestige, but not being in Europe is actually a good thing for us because we're not playing like every Thursday, Sunday, which is very difficult. We've already seen that with Hearts. It is very difficult. But I just think that squad, there is something about that squad. Like, for a long time, especially last season, if a player wasn't playing well, we couldn't drop them because they're nothing else. But now everyone's having to raise the standard every week. Because if you don't play well, there's somebody else there to take your place. And it's shown that bench, for me, I said it already, this is our strongest squad since the George Burley era. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's a very strong squad. We've got players that can make a difference. Like, look at the bench on Saturday. You bring off Savika Jota, and he makes a massive difference for that ball at the box. We've got a threat everywhere. And I think as well, we're not only the top scorers in the league, I think we've had the most touches in the opposition box, the most crosses into the opposition box. We're pretty much first on every stat. So it's great to see, and long may it continue. But just going back to the game on Saturday, it was just such a poor game of football. And these derby games can do that, but it's all about getting that 3 points. And I thought we probably... Did we do enough to deserve to win the game? Probably not. But I was disappointed by Hibs. I didn't actually think they played that well, to be honest.
I thought Hibs set up very defensive in the game, to be honest with you. And that's what 5 draws now in the league for David Gray's men. We're going to come to you. Well, what do you think they need to do after this international break to maybe get back on the right track? I mean, I know they obviously get the decent draw at Celtic Park, but it's not been like a brilliant start of the season by any standards for Hibs.
No, I was going to make a joke there, Robbie, and say get rid of Grant Hanley and play Rocky Bashiri, but I know me and you are big fans of Grant Hanley, aren't we?
I love the guy. Can't wait to watch him twice for Scotland.
Aye, but I think in terms of David Gray, I don't think he's doing a bad job so far. I think if that one goes in from Boyle when it smacks the post and Saturday night, we're talking about a different score. So I don't think they're doing too much bad. I just think they need to score more. I think that match against Rangers was the perfect example. I think if that Boyle chance is not offside, then I think they actually will win that match. So I don't think there's too much wrong, but I just think they need to score more. To be honest with you, Robbie. But I think they've got a perfect match. I think David Martindale takes his team to Edinburgh next week. So I think that's the perfect match for them to score a few goals and get back to some winning form.
When have you guys a kickoff like that, by the way, before? That was mental how that game started.
It was good when Hearts followed up, and then you just seen Derek McInnes get off his nut. Well, not get off his nut in a good way. I mean, laughing on the sideline. It's good to see that, and you know, it was good to see that in a game where you know there was so much on the line. You know, obviously there's the rivalry aspect and stuff, but it was nice to see that moment. But you're right, it was such a bizarre kickoff. I don't think I've ever seen it like that, to be honest.
I don't know why teams are in trend. It's because PSG are doing it, and PSG won the Champions League. But I don't see the purpose of every single football team doing it. To be honest with you guys.
Do you know what I will say as well? I was asked this earlier on as well by another person that about our new goalkeeper, Alexander Swallow. He's kept 3 clean sheets. The first keeper to keep 3 clean sheets in his first Hearts 3 games since about 1955 or something. I still don't know how good this keeper is because he's barely been tested in any of the games he's played yet. So I still don't know how good he is.
Aye, and again, if that Boyle chance goes another way, you know, you're just probably sitting here talking about a game where Hus can see the goal. But you're right, I don't think he has been tested too much. That one thing you can probably say about Swallow is he's got the confidence in the big games. I think, you know, again, we mentioned it on the show last game, playing in such a high league, you know, where the fans are always making it seem like a big game factor. I don't think he'll certainly be short in confidence in any of these games for Hearts, which will play into their hand. But just as you said, we're yet to see him properly tested.
Well, he's a super experienced Bundesliga goalkeeper, and I think when the big moments do come up, he will rise up to it. You know, it's not as if he's like a kid coming in the door. He's, you know, like you said, I think he seems comfortable, and hopefully when for Hearts supporters, when he does get tested, he will come up with the big moments. But I think he will, because goalkeepers, I know some of them can be hot and cold and that, but I don't think you maintain a position and get that many Bundesliga appearances if you're a mug. So I think he will be quite good.
Thing is, he's also, if you watched on Saturday, Craig Gordon was on the bench. So it's now got Craig Gordon breathing down his neck as well. Wait to take his place.
I think he'll be all right as long as Steve Clarke doesn't become the Hearts manager for some reason, but they've got to be related somehow. Honestly, like what happened to his send off, and then he was straight back in the squad, and I don't get it.
Do you think, Graham, that game at Rugby Park is going to be some spectacle? Kilmarnock are absolutely flying right now. They're playing some really nice stuff under Kettlewell. We've got the team playing, again, as I said, playing some really nice stuff. They look really good, really solid defensively. How much are you looking forward to that game?
I mean, it's got the added spice of Derek McInnes going back there after the way it ended. It's going to be really interesting. And that's on TV as well, 5:45 kickoff. I mean, fair play to Kilmarnock. Has done a great job so far. They're sitting third for a reason. Clearly a very good side. Stuart Kettlewell's got them playing some decent stuff. They've got 2 big laddies up front that you always know after Saturday. It's going to be a huge test. If Hearts can go there and get even a point, keep us undefeated going at that Celtic game, it could be huge. But I think it's going to be a very intimidating, well, not intimidating, but it's going to be a very intense atmosphere. And hopefully Hearts can go there and get another win. I'll be interested to see the team for Hearts if we're going to make any changes, because it is now 3 clean sheets in a row, 3 exact same teams. Will they change it? Will they keep it the same? It's going to be interesting. Personally, for me, I'll be keeping it the same, because why change it?
Regan Graham makes a really good point there. Why change a winning team? You know, Hearts are doing really well right now, and I know you're going to probably. I don't know if I'm too out there by saying probably the 2 most on form teams right now in terms of the way they're playing. I think Kilmarnock v Hearts is like watching a first versus second in a sense. So you know, I think he's right. Regan, it'll be a pretty big game.
I think Stuart Kettlewell showed that against Celtic as well. They probably should have got a point of that as well. And I think he's proven a lot of the doubters wrong, because as I said to you guys earlier, a lot of people didn't want him to be in the job, but he's showed over the past few weeks with Daka, and obviously David Watson. They've got a lot of good players, and they've got a lot of players that I think they can really move fast up that table. But I think we should move on to St Mirren, Robbie. What are you thinking about St Mirren?
Do we need to? No, in terms of the game, it'd be easy for me to come on and go, the pitch, the weather made it a bad game, but at the end of the day, Kilmarnock played up to the weather more than we did. We didn't look like we wanted it. I thought the basics were just done wrong, which isn't really like us at one team, to be honest. The one thing we always pride ourselves on is doing the basics right. And then building on that, I thought the defence was really, really sloppy on Saturday. Richard King looked all over the place at times during the match, to be honest. I really didn't fancy him. I'm intrigued to see when Marcus is going to be back. It just looked like we missed these players, Reagan. It looked like we missed the O'Hara's, the Bacchus, and I know he made the bench and then eventually came on because Robinson went all guns blazing, but missing these guys for the beginning that can really make an impact on the team. 2 decent goals for Kilmarnock. Like, I'm not going to take digs at Jamal George. Obviously, I see him get a fair whack of criticism for that first goal, but to me, the weather again, and I don't think he could have done much more with the clearance, and they tried to at full stretch. But I look, at the end of the day, in my opinion, Kilmarnock deserved the 3 points. Look, we're not going to play perfect 38 games a season. It'd be unrealistic. So it's about how we combat that, come back. We've got Aberdeen at home after the international break, and we need to look to try and get back to winning ways in that game.
Definitely. I mean, I think St Mirren are doing pretty well at the moment. I think, like you said to Alex earlier, not every match are going to win, but I think St Mirren have got really good structure as well, Robbie. I just want to ask you though, do you think that in terms of the squad, do you think it's maybe been a bit overstretched? Because you spoke about the players being injured at the moment, and you've obviously got Mark O'Hara as well that's been injured as well.
Yeah, it's a very thin squad. With a couple of injuries off, as you've seen, for putting guys in like Donnelly and Adowu, and absolutely no offence to these guys or Richard King, but I'd much rather have Bacchus, O'Hara and Fraser in instead of they 3. In my opinion, I think they're really good players. So don't get me wrong, I think King's got a lot to offer. I think he'll be a central defender whenever Gogic moves on. I think Adowu's got a lot to offer as well. But in these type of games, you need guys like Bacchus and O'Hara, and especially Fraser at the back as well, to sort of straighten the ship out a wee bit when the things maybe get a bit tension. As soon as the first Kilmarnock goal goes in, you see us, I don't want to say panic, I don't think that's the right word, but you see us start to get a wee bit nervy at the back, and obviously they go 2-0 up, and that's when realistically it's a really big mountain to climb. But you're right, it's a very thin squad. You look at the bench, as soon as we lose a few players, you're then looking at a prospect of bringing in guys like Jamaro Calvin that's not even played a minute yet. You're looking at Evan Mooney, you obviously Fraser Taylor, then you've got guys like Dan Lundulu, McMenamin, and obviously Flings guys on, he makes the 5 substitutions within 64 minutes. But at the end of the day, having guys like O'Hara on, who's a leader in these type of games, will be also important, going forward. So it'd be nice to have them back. But like, full credit to Kilmarnock, they played a really, really good game. I thought that midfield looked really, really good. I thought Polworth and Watson were really good in the game, actually. The defence wasn't tested too much, to be honest. And they deserved 3 points.
And I think the thing that you're saying there, Robbie, about St Mirren, the squad is being stretched, but it also shows how good a manager Stephen Robinson is. I mean, you spoke there about Jamal George, but I'm sure there's times this season where he will save the squad as well.
He's a really good goalkeeper. I believe a few St Mirren fans, obviously I don't think they're the official player of the month, but I'm pretty sure a couple of our fans have gave him player of the month for this month, last month, sorry, should I say. So he's a really good goalkeeper. I think he's one of the best we've had in a while, to be honest. I'd put him right up there with Flacky and Anik, to be honest. I really think he is phenomenal, and you can say that about a lot of the players in the squad. I'm not going to come on here, Reagan, and be all shots firing and headlights and alarm bells ringing because we've lost one game. We'll win plenty more, we'll lose plenty more, but we have the makings of a squad that can be utilised in a way that can potentially get us up into the sort of top 4 or 5 in the league.
Robbie, just finally, I think we should probably move on to Aberdeen. because Aberdeen 4-0 win.
I came on the show and predicted 1-0 Dundee, so they certainly proved me wrong. But no, it was. I think for Aberdeen, it was nice to finally get that win. If they were ever going to win a game, it was going to be off the back of that performance against Shakhtar Donetsk, and they blew Dundee out the water. And look, I think if you're an Aberdeen fan, I don't know what Paul Donaldson or any of the other Aberdeen fans think. I don't think I'd take that as that's us back fully, if you get what I mean. I think there's two good performances there. There's a lot of goals against a Dundee side, which, by the way, I'm not trying to disrespect Dundee, but it's a side Aberdeen should be beaten. So I'm looking when they come back now, you're looking at St Mirren away for Aberdeen, and then they travel to KF. And so if I'm looking for that perspective, I'm saying, right, that's a good start. We need to build on that now. We need to go to Paisley and pick something up. We need to, and then they play Hibs after Athens. So you're looking at the next few games, Reagan, as it's a positive way to turn things around, and Tilleen looks like he's progressing in the right way. But am I going to base the season after a 4-0 win versus Dundee? No, I'm going to wait to see these big games and see how the Aberdeen squad react to them.
And I think as well, Rob, it just shows you the strength of Scottish football. I know people don't want to talk about it, but I think St Mirren have shown that it's a very tough game. And in terms of, you spoke about Aberdeen going away to Edinburgh as well. I mean, that's a big game playing the Devon Grace team as well. So those are two fixtures that I could definitely see Aberdeen getting beat as well.
Aye, and look, if they lose to St Mirren, they lose to Hibs, and they lose to Athens, suddenly he's right back under pressure again, and everything that's happened there the last sort of few days goes straight back out. Because, I don't think the Aberdeen fans will accept another 3 losses. I don't think the board will be looking at that with much confidence in Tilleen anymore. And 3 losses turn it back into a tightrope for Tilleen.
Yeah, and we probably should touch on the Championship. The big guy that's under pressure at the moment is Neil Lennon. He's not doing very well at Dunfermline as well, Robbie.
Aye, which surprises me. Also, just on Dundee United Livingston as well. We've not mentioned that yet, but in terms of Neil Lennon, first of all, he is under pressure, which surprises me a bit. I thought the Dunfermline squad actually looked alright at the beginning of the season. Obviously, it's not gone exactly the way I think the past fans would have hoped, but look, if there's one guy let's get experience and try to get teams to win things, it's Neil Lennon. So hopefully he'll be hoping, anyway, and the past fans will be hoping they can turn that around. But just on Dundee United Livingston, I mean, it's not been a good few weeks for my old buddy, old pal Jim Goodwin, and Dundee. He's not been great.
Are you happy there?
No, I know we're joking there, but I never like to see our old players and managers do bad. I will give credit to David Martindale, but obviously hit the post in the last kick of the ball to win the game, which would have been a massive blow for Dundee United. So I don't know how the Dundee United fans will be feeling, but they probably feel like they've managed to get a point there, when it could have ended up so much different.
Yeah, I mean, I've been so impressed with David Martindale's team this season. They've been so close to getting a point for Rangers. They've been close to getting points, like 3 points as well. So I think they've been a real breath of fresh air this season. And to be honest with you, I've been really impressed with the pitch as well. It's a lot better than it was this time last year.
Aye, all the plastic pitches are actually very good this year. I'm surprised. Falkirk as well, and obviously Kilmarnock, the other couple clubs. All plastic pitches look really, really nice to play on. Obviously, I've seen Kilmarnock twice. Obviously, game at the weekend was slightly tampered with the weather, but bar that, they've been nice to watch. So, look, this season, Reagan, we say it all the time, but this is one of the best seasons we're probably going to see in a while. There's fights right up and down the league. We've already got a manager sacked. There's other managers being talked about getting sacked. There's so much going on. It's really is a really good time to be a Scottish football fan.
Yeah, Robbie, and just finally, we will all be back on Thursday for the Scotland games. Hopefully we'll catch you then. But thank you, Robbie, for being on tonight, and I'll see you again soon, mate.
I see you again soon. Can't wait to watch 90 minutes of Grant Hanley ball on the Scotland.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with